Sveiki, pradedame spaudos konferenciją.
Good morning. Let us begin the press conference organized together with the Commission for Addiction Prevention of the Seimas and the WHO Regional Office for Europe. The purpose of today's press conference is to present to you the Baltic Alcohol Control Policy Project and its assessment. The project was conducted by foreign and Lithuanian researchers. To tell you more about that is why we're hosting the following conference that is going to start at 10:30. And as for right now, I would like to just remind you that Lithuania has made some very important steps forward towards reducing alcohol consumption and the harm caused by alcohol consumption. As to some of those positive steps and the challenges ahead, we will try to briefly overview at the current press conference, as well as later today during the conference to be held in the Seimas. Allow me to introduce to you the speakers present today. If you have any questions regarding the activities of the World Health Organization and its activities here in Lithuania, Ms. Ingrida Zurlytė, head of the World Health Organization country office in Lithuania, is also present here to answer any of those questions of yours. And to inform you on the reasons for today's event and on some of the breakthroughs in terms of alcohol control in Lithuania, I would now like to give the floor to Ms. Maria Neufeld, representing the World Health Organization Regional Office for Europe. So, Maria, please, the floor is yours.
Ritas, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Maria Neufeld, and I work in the WHO Regional Office for Europe. In the program for alcohol, illicit drugs, and prison health. And what our program does is we're supporting 53 countries, member states of the WHO European region in questions related to substance use, specifically alcohol, how to reduce alcohol consumption, and how to reduce the immense harm that this substance is causing. And I just want to give you a very brief perspective why, for us, Lithuania, among all those 53 countries, is such a unique case, and I would also argue why this is such a unique case among all the more than 190 countries globally that are member states of the WHO. Well, you might know that 10 years ago, there was a much larger conference here in this building. And it was because back then WHO has released a global status report according to which Lithuania had very high, very high alcohol consumption, if not the highest in the world. And back then we were estimating that on average every adult was drinking about 15.5 liters of pure alcohol. This is really a lot. This is an equivalent of almost 80 bottles of vodka per year per adult. This is quite a lot, and it was also causing quite a lot of harm. But most importantly, back then, the Lithuanian government recognized alcohol being a major public health problem, and it took decisive action in response to this problem. And it has implemented all the WHO recommendations within a record time. And the WHO recommendations are, we call them the best buys, because best buys in terms of you get the most public health benefit for the least resources, for the least money invested in them. And there are three major recommendations. It's increasing alcohol taxation. It is reducing availability of alcohol through reducing the numbers of hours when alcohol can be sold or reducing locations. And the third one is restricting or actually banning alcohol marketing, because a substance that harmful should simply not be advertised. And you did this. You did this within a very short time. To our knowledge, it was implemented, or to our knowledge, this is the only country that has implemented that within 1 year, and it had a very large impact, because alcohol consumption has decreased by several liters, thousands of lives have been saved, and also quite importantly, millions of euros have been saved or have been generated through increases in excise taxation. And for us, this is a really, really important case to study those real-life effects of implementing the WHO recommendations. And this has led to a really large research project where we could really investigate what were the specific things that have worked, what are the things that might not have worked. And just to say, again, it is commendable what has been achieved. It is really a global example. At the same time, there is still room for improvement. Lithuanian alcohol consumption still remains slightly above the EU average, so there is still room, but we see that the trends are going in the right direction. So this is just briefly from my perspective, and maybe I hand over back to you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Malonu girdėti.
It is nice to hear that as we live here, we don't always notice our positive achievements, and it's very evident when we are comparing ourselves with other countries. And sometimes the outsiders can see our situation better than we do. So what is our success story? What is our success formula? And whether we are successful, I would like to give the floor to Professor Mindaugas Šlemekas. The floor is yours. Thank you. I'm honored to be here and to present the results of our work of the past few years. And it's a well-known fact that the topic of alcohol consumption in Lithuania has been a very sensitive topic, and it was discussed from a variety of angles in our public discourse. And the policies of alcohol control in Lithuania have begun earlier, and we are focusing on the period of time of 2017-2018, but the big breakthrough happened in 2007 and 2008, especially following our EU accession. And we actually forgot that we have to tackle certain health risks, and we had abandoned the issues related to alcohol consumption, and we didn't make any decisions. And we remembered the topic in 2007 when we started seeing the indicators of Lithuanians' health decreasing. And our decisions managed to change the trends regarding life expectancy, and life expectancy started increasing. And the problem of alcohol consumption has been prevalent in our society, and it had increased in 2007. And after we started implementing alcohol control policy by decreasing availability, by limiting advertising, by increasing excise tax, we started seeing increasing health trends. That period was very unfavorable because there was a crisis, but then another period followed, and we implemented many other measures, and we have 10 periods of time when certain measures were implemented since 2008, and there were periods where our implementation was lacking actually, and we had the periods where we managed to implement very powerful measures, and I'm talking about 2008 and 2017 and 2018, when we significantly increased the excise duties on alcohol, and it was a unique case because it wasn't. It was a very significant increase, which can result in long-term effects. And we saw the results the following year. And when we analyzed this period of time, we see that the mortality in Lithuania was decreased by 1,400 cases in 1 year. Of course, the excise duty effect can decrease because of the growing economy, but nevertheless it was effective. Besides that, it is commendable that income from excise duties increases, and this is a significant contribution to the budget, and therefore this is a very powerful tool which we've been focusing on throughout the recent years. And that's all I wanted to say, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
Toliau norėčiau tada paprašyti.
Thank you, Professor. Then I would like to give the floor to Professor Jürgen Rechm from Canada. I would like to ask him his opinion on how to disseminate this good practice of Lithuania in other countries. As far as I'm concerned, there was a conference yesterday in Vilnius, and there were more than 80 participants from various European countries, not only from the Baltic states. So what did you tell them? How can they make use of this Lithuanian successful step in this area? The floor is yours.
Thank you and welcome. I'm honored to be here. I would like to give you 3 pieces of advice. First, it is very clear that in all of the years then Lithuania was active doing policies, life expectancy started increasing. There were way less deaths. There were way less alcohol attributable hospitalizations. There were way less people in the emergency room because of alcohol. But those years in between, when there was no action, all of the good decreased again. Those measures are not forever. It's not that you do once an alcohol policy and then you're done for life. It is a constant, and that is also for all other countries. You have to constantly work and improve your alcohol control policies. So after the 2008 period, there was a few years without any. And what happened? All of those good indicators went down again. And then only in 2017, 18, when life expectancy went up again. So this is a clear lesson. If you want to do alcohol policy, it is a long term, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Secondly, and that has not been mentioned yet, it is arguably one of the best things you can do for your young people, the new generation. Let me give you one example. Lithuania traditionally had been one of those countries where adolescents, according to standardized surveys in all EU countries, or almost all EU countries, Lithuanians were the ones who had the most periods of intoxication in a given year. That's mainly true for males, by the way, but overall, that's males drink more alcohol than females, that's true, but the gap between the two genders is higher in Lithuania than it is in other countries. But anyway, on average, for both combined, Lithuania was always in the top of the EU in terms of intoxication. And now, after the ban on advertisement, it is amongst the lower countries within the EU. So if you do all the hocus pocus statisticians tend to do, basically you control for all other factors and you compare Lithuania with 5 other countries, and those 5 other countries were selected for proximity to Lithuania and for having implemented other things, so we could see, what does taxation do, what does availability do, and what does restrictions do. You could show that this ban on advertisement has reduced the frequency of intoxication by more than 50%. Alone or in the first year already. And there are trends that this has continued, but the data are not definitive. They still have to be cleaned, so we cannot say anything about that. But we can say definitively that it worked. This ban on advertisement, meaning that youth is not exposed to those daily messages on social media targeted at them, lead to way less heavy drinking occasions. That was the main big effect, and that is something which actually can be learned from a lot of countries, because such a complete ban of advertisement is the best way to deal with it, and it's only implemented in 2 European countries so far. So this is clearly one. And the third thing which countries can learn is that overall, once Lithuania restarted doing those, there had been constant little steps. We are only speaking about the big steps, a taxation increase leading to 1,400 lives not saved. You cannot save lives. They will die sometimes. But postponed. They can live longer. That's clear. That's a big step. 50% less intoxications. That's a big step. But there's a lot of little policies which have been implemented. A ban at petrol stations, which is reducing the deaths going out of the petrol station. It's very easy. You don't even need a statistician. Just go to the petrol station and you can show how many of those accidents will be reduced once you do not sell alcohol in those petrol stations. Then there's a lot of other little things which add together and make this total. So the 3 things you can learn from Lithuania: A, you have to employ the alcohol policy in a continuous way. You have to have some of the big things, but you also have to have smaller actions which are combined and integrated into a whole policy. And last but not least, do not forget youth, do not forget the young people, and do policies where they can benefit the most, and there Lithuania is really exemplary.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Internete matau, kad klausimų.
I see no more questions online. Would there be anyone at this point from the audience willing to ask a question? Have we been very clear on our message? Well, in that case, allow me to summarize in saying that it's a pleasure to hear that here in Lithuania we've made some very important steps towards reducing alcohol consumption and fighting against alcohol addiction. Yes, indeed, we do observe other problems such as substance addiction, addiction on smartphones, in our daily lives, gambling addiction. We have been discussing our sugar addiction lately and the threats posed by this issue. And these issues can also have certain relations with some of the economic issues that can be tackled while addressing these issues as well. From the guests that have spoken today, from the works that they've been involved in, and from statistics, we can conclude that only complex and consecutive and regular measures can deliver some very good results in the area in particular where it may not seem so easy to change our behavior, area where certain addictions are involved. And the same could be said about other health areas. That is, only a holistic approach towards health and our consecutive efforts can bring positive results. And yes, we have to admit that there are other issues that we have to address. Alcoholism, the issues with the black market. These are some of the issues that we need to address right now. Although we can appreciate the fact that the alcohol consumption culture is changing, as well as our youth attitudes that are changing. We have to talk about the availability of the treatments that fell into the trap of alcoholism. And we have to bear in mind the geopolitical situation that might also affect people when it comes to alcohol consumption. As far as I'm concerned, I have to say that as the political cycles change, it is important to stay on track and not to take any steps backward. That is, we have to continue with what is working and reinforce those positive deviates. That is, those things that have proven to be good measures, we have to stick with them. And that will depend on each and every member of our society, on our environment, on our family environment, on our workplaces and relations and work culture. And so we're grateful to the media as well for their role, very important role here as well. Would there be anybody else willing to say a few words? Ms. Zurlytė.
Ačiū labai.
Thank you. I'm very pleased that Lithuania implemented WHO recommendations of best buys to control alcohol consumption. Those measures were implemented for a while, but there was a period of time when those main measures of increasing taxes, lowering availability, when they were implemented throughout a very short period of time, and it was our window of opportunity. Therefore, I'm glad that our researchers and international researchers teams, especially Professor Jürgen Rehm, they saw this window of opportunity, and it's great that we adopted alcohol control laws, but it's good that researchers decided to evaluate and assess how those measures implemented were affecting the situation in Lithuania. And this will be very useful for Lithuania in terms of data, in terms of decision making regarding alcohol control. We're glad that WHO also has participated in this process and helped other partners to join us. And I would like to thank Professor Saulius Čaplinskas that you showed your initiatives and that today we can present the results of the Baltic Alcohol Control Policy Project in Lithuania, as well in Lithuania, in Estonia, in Latvia and Poland. We hope that further discussions later on today will reveal even more results, and we will have the opportunity to discuss about the results of those measures, and that the conference will inspire us to continue our good work in this area in this legislative term and later on. Thank you. Thank you. This is a specific example how certain international events and declarations, for example, when we had questions about what is the WHO is doing, this is just one example how the World Health Organization and its experts and their help how together with the help of those organizations and practitioners and researchers, we all form the World Health Organization, and we share the good practices among us and help each other. Let's take a 1-hour break, and the conference starts at 10:30, where we'll discuss in detail the alcohol control policy in Lithuania. And I would like to remind the viewers of this press conference that if you're unable to listen to a live streaming of the conference, the video recording of the conference is available on the Seimas website. I would like to thank our guests once again and see you at the conference.